Welcome to the Sushi Onsen AMA, where we host projects that have partnered through the Onsen program to provide them a platform to reach a larger audience. Today we've got Long and Magnum from Sunder Finance. Welcome, you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome.
Great to be here.
So much for having us.
Yeah, wonderful. So tell us a little bit about who you guys are, what your background is, and what your involvement is with the project Sunder Finance.
Oh, hey, this is Lang, so co-founder of Sunder Protocol, and I have a finance and engineering background, and have been full-time in crypto for 4 years and build since the beginning.
Awesome.
This is Magnum from my side. So I've been quite deeply involved with DeFi and early stages for the past 3-4 years, since infant stages. Mostly involved on the modeling, economic models that were showing up from MakerDAO in its infant stages to different kinds of strategies and approaches that were being taken on this innovative industry. And what we were basically coming across is that as DeFi was cementing itself, so every single DeFi protocol or most of the decentralized approaches which are being taken, if you go down the top TVL list at current stage, there's two components. It's the governance module and it's the DeFi application itself and the applicability across protocols of these governance tokens which are being established. But until today, there's a mutually exclusive relation between what DAOs and what governance modules are and the actual applications themselves. So simplest example I can think of is that if you are a holder from governance tokens and you want to participate in governance, you have to be holding those tokens in 99% of the cases in your wallet. So that's eventually creating an exclusive relation towards if you want to deploy these for potential interest-bearing solutions, yield aggregation, earning interest, etc. So it was personally and across colleagues in the industry quite a conflict in terms of, is it a question of that distribution of portfolio? Is it a question of sunk cost eventually? Is it... Oh, I think there's some background noise.
Yeah, INF, if you don't mind muting yourself, that would be great. Thanks. Sorry, carry on.
So yeah, it's essentially an exclusive relationship on the combination in the governance tokens when you want to eventually participate on the governance side or utilize them, because we cannot forget. If you don't mind muting yourself, sorry.
There, I just muted them.
All right. So eventually this application on interest-bearing solutions on yields, I mean, we know how much of a centric aspect it has become in DeFi. And every single time which governance tokens specifically are being deployed into these kind of products, whether we're talking about directly for potential farming solutions, money markets, interest-bearing solutions, even aggregators like Wi-Fi, etc. Mm-hmm. The voting rights and the participation rights on governance are being lost. They're still there on the underlying token, but the core contracts where you're deploying are not going to be executing the voting for you. And we know how central, I mean, speaking right now at Sushi Discord itself, you guys can understand from a governance perspective. You want to not only generate, but also keep the engagement from the community and interaction on the governance side. And there's plenty of cases where we have seen, I can remember lastly on Uniswap, for example, that even reaching quorum on certain proposals, it's a hurdle. And it's not really because people, or from our side, our perspective, it's not really that people are not interested in the participation.
Magnum, you still there?
Yeah, there's some background noise. I can still hear INF.
Is that mine? Was that my noise? Or
Right.
Is it better there?
INF. I was having some background noise. If you don't mind muting.
maybe that person.
There, I just I'll have to let them
Yeah,
go, unfortunately.
that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, all good.
So yeah, eventually, if these governance tokens are being deployed in the different kind of applicabilities that you may have, whether it's a more established governance token from a third-party protocol, and you can pretty much deploy them across the industry, whether it's money markets or everything else, those rights are eventually being lost. And the hurdles on reaching quorum are quite substantial. General participations that we can see, so it's not to disincentivize on the lack of success on the governance side. It's just that from our perspective, one of the core conflicts here is that from a user perspective, if you're interested on both utilities, let's say I'm deploying my tokens on a money market like Aave, and I eventually want to still be participating on governance. There's a potential sunk cost fallacy, because if I even want to participate on the voting, this means that I would eventually have to go through a withdrawal, a redemption of these governance tokens towards my wallet, go through the proposal, participate on the voting, and then eventually deploy back. So this sunk cost fallacy is potentially disincentivizing for many participants across the industry. And because the paradox here is that every single DeFi application consists of a governance module, we believe for the better, the more you can eventually promote a potentially widespread adoption that incentivizes inclusiveness between these two core utilities and applicability of the token itself, could eventually thrive towards not only increasing governance participation, but also sustain the decentralization of it. Because reality is that in many of the cases, on many of the blue chip DeFi protocols, what you're having is that the participation is eventually coming from a large holder perspective. We can be speaking about not malicious, I mean, by all extents, it's eventually people who are interested on the benefit of the protocol. But eventually it's whether it's like large partners, VC side, contributors, which are large holders, etc. But the actual participant, which may be a smaller holder, is not really engaging because of a potential sunk cost fallacy or different kind of interests, which are not yet aligned. So what we're trying to bring here is exactly that, to make the DAO governance side of DeFi plus the DeFi applications itself inclusive again.
Awesome. Yeah, that's been a really good breakdown and great to bring that in, how you introduced it all as well, to what Sunder's about to do and what you're looking at. So yeah. So no. So yeah, just kind of concluding there is that you're being able to separate, or I guess still have yield bearing token and essentially and still be able to have the governance voting separated in a sense. So yeah, maybe just talk us through like how it works with your platform, like how it'll work to get, like, because you're saying you have two different tokens that come out, correct?
Exactly. So what I was mentioning until now was more on the value proposition side and what we're trying to solve. Now, how does the magic happen?
Yeah,
because you can not only not just eventually allow a smart contract to vote for people, and so there needs to be an infrastructure which is allowing for this. So the approach that we're taking is basically Sunder protocol. Every time you're depositing a governance token, let's say Compound in this case, we are issuing as Sunder protocol isolated token for both of these utilities and applicability that I was mentioning. So every user which is eventually sundering, comes from splitting apart, sundering compound tokens, he's going to be receiving in a 1-to-1 ratio one DAO governance isolated token, which is the D token from now onwards, and one earnings token, E token, from here onwards, which is eventually giving the rights over the potential interests which are being acquired by the protocol itself.
Right.
So to go stepwise, the D token, the only need eventually for the interaction is to be holding it on your wallet. And we have taken care of gas optimization as well. So every time there's a proposal which is being executed on the underlying protocol, like I was mentioning Compound, these are going to be mirrored on the Sunder protocol level, and through Snapshot, the voting intents from the different participants that are holding the D token are going to be collected at the without gas fee execution or anything by simply signing transactions.
Right.
And the e-token is eventually allowing for the rights of eligibility towards the potential yields which are being obtained across the different strategies which are being deployed for the underlying token itself. For the earnings token side, I must say, like, we're not reinventing the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the very widely adopted protocols which has been cementing itself on this edge is Wi-Fi or finance in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So you could take an analogy towards that. It's quite comparable in terms of that. So from a strategy perspective, from a vault perspective, from a proposal perspective on potential new yields which can be acquired, it's quite similar in that sense. Core difference here is that you're still allowing for an inclusive relation between what the DAO governance participation is and the yields themselves. On top of this, what can be done with both of the tokens is through the exclusive collaboration with Sushi, because there's going to be dedicated marketplace and liquidity incentivization for this. There can be an LP provision structure under which Sunder tokens can be eventually formed to incentivize this liquidity deployment.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, so when we're splitting tokens like this now and splitting the rights and everything, we are potentially looking at creating, like you say, new markets for like the DAO token, for the actual voting rights of that token. So we're kind of creating like a price discovery or like a whole speculation point on, how powerful the voting, like what people actually feel about the voting as compared to just the earning side of it. So.
Yeah, that's right. And that's quite a controversial topic that we received when we were eventually sharing and brainstorming this idea through some friends and family. And even though the value proposition is to bring the inclusiveness between both of the utilities, so there's no sunk cost fallacy and no back on the participation, etc. This way that we're tackling the issue with this infrastructure is eventually opening up for quite a lot of different ways of interaction, speculation, and methodology and approach towards valuation of this single-sided, isolated utilities. So for the first time, you could eventually see how is the market evaluating on the potential price of the actual governance participation utility on a single governance token, without having the pollution on priced in of potential interest-bearing solutions or yields that can be obtained, etc. So even though most of the people would eventually not be interested only on the speculation, I would tend to predict here, but also on one of the sides at least, whether it's governance participation or interest-bearing solutions. What you're opening for as well is the other side of the road, which is any kind of user which is not yet a specific governance token holder has now a potential approach for getting a marginal cost exposure towards the utility that he or she is actually seeking for.
Right.
So to put an example on the governance proposal side, if you're a SushiSwap holder and there's a certain proposal, like let me say something crazy, increasing fees from 0.3 to 1%. And I've been using SushiSwap for quite a long time. Regardless, I'm not a SushiSwap holder. If I want to participate, until now, I would need to eventually go to the market, purchase in advance the potential tokens, go through the actual structure, and eventually participate. And the voting power that I'm receiving is 1-to-1 towards the price of every single token. Now, if you're having this kind of solution, you can get a marginal cost, because estimations would be that the cost of the D token itself would be a fraction of the actual Sushi token, because only the aggregation from both the D token and the E token, given the openness and arbitrage opportunity, would represent the full price of the underlying governance token. So for the first time, you could eventually purchase the D token on the free marketplace, participate on the governance proposal that you're interested in at a fractional cost, hence boosting up the potential voting power that you can receive with the same amount of collateral that you're deploying for receiving this exposure. And same goes for the e-token side. So if there's any kind of profiles or participant users that are interested on the speculatory exposure over a governance token, and the only intent and purpose and reason for them to eventually get this is the additional benefits from potential yields and interest-bearing solutions, they can eventually acquire the e-token and deploy these into the Sunder governance vault to remain eligible for that exposure. And that's once again giving you fractional costs, marginal costs over what it would be eventually if you go the more established or traditional way.
Yeah, very cool. That's great. Thank you for breaking that down as in depth as you have. And we kind of touching on like the governance part of it too. This is a very good point that you could actually, at a marginal cost, get involved in governance and perhaps allow for more governance participation. And I mean, that's something that I think is really powerful within DeFi, to be able to have this power to vote on things and to actually have your say is heard. That's pretty cool. So I'm hoping that this kind of this platform would actually inspire more people to be able to have more power to vote. So that's cool. That's very cool.
All in all, it's quite a creative experiment to trying to cement a little bit of the increased engagement and decentralization towards governance. So the value proposition is still that to remain inclusive. Mm-hmm. But one of the big points that we were considering when designing the framework of this was optimization for, let's say, small holders on gas cost optimization. So even any kind of on-chain proposals that you would have that would require any kind of fee transaction. Given the fact that we're mirroring these towards the Sunder protocol and the collection of votes is happening via snapshots, it's basically a signature transaction. And the actual cost of execution is happening in the background from the vault side at an aggregated level. So if you have 1,000 participants through Sunder, there's still only going to be a handful of transactions on the management between withdrawing from the vaults, from the different strategies where these tokens are being applied for the potential interest-bearing solution, analog to how YP is eventually approaching. But that withdrawal itself is being aggregated across how many participants want to do it and just batched into a couple of transactions and eventually broadcasted to the underlying protocol, like in the previous example, Compound, directly.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah. If anyone has any questions from the audience, please, I'll give you an opportunity to speak up here. And do note that there is the AMA text questions. And if anyone has questions there, please post those in that, and we can try and answer those as they come in. So. All right. Yeah. If nobody's, please, anytime somebody has a question, just when there's a break in the conversation, please feel free to speak up. But one thing I'd like to discuss next here is your implementation with Sushi and the governance and I guess the AMA as well. Or sorry, AMM.
I mean, we're definitely integrating with the AMA as we are participating right now. But the more interesting part is definitely the Sushi framework and infrastructure. So everything started with a pure Medium article that we were eventually posting on Medium assets, and an engagement with Maki and potential brainstorming that we were having. And it fast became clear that it's not only on the liquidity side, on the pool side, potential benefit for Sushi in this case by creating new markets and sourcing and incentivizing liquidity provision. But this is the full pack. It's the one-stop solution because of all the eventual side infrastructure which is built and being built, like money marketplace such as Bento Box, etc., could be utilized on part of the strategies. Most of the actual angles that Sunder itself is touching can be connected with Sushi. So this integration and collaboration from both protocol sides was immediately clear when we were eventually discussing. And that's exactly what we're looking forward to. So from the liquidity provision to potential strategies for the interest-bearing solutions, there's quite a variety of things that can unfold between Sushi and Sunder.
Yeah, awesome. And let's talk about your launch. I guess or where you're at with progress and your launch time, and just give us a little bit about about how that's going to work.
Yes. So to be frank, from an infrastructure perspective, even though it may have been a little bit dense in terms of my explanations, from an infrastructure side, it's quite straightforward. And we released a testnet environment on Koran that can be tried out right now on our website, sunder.finance. And Token launch is actually right around the corner. We're looking at MISO launch, which is happening in 2 days and 10 hours on Monday at 12 p.m. at noon UTC.
Awesome.
And we're going to test out the Dutch option. We thought that that was the potential best and fairest approach that we could take for letting the participants and the markets decide and evaluate on the potential pricing and participation of the IDO. It will be going on for 3 days, and we have given not that big of a bracket like Sake did a couple of days ago, but still a bracket between $3.20 from starting point price ceiling to ending point price floor. And looking forward to see how it goes.
Yeah, awesome. How many tokens are you looking to are coming available?
It's a total of 5 million tokens, which is going to be available on the MISO factory on the IDO for the Dutch option.
Yep. And
once those, in terms of commitments, are completely placed, it will be concluded. So it's a first come first serve basis for those who are less familiar with MISO.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Anything else you want to share about the tokenomics or anything like that?
In terms of like core utilities for the Sunder governance token in this case, so the name is by itself already eventually mentioning on the governance side that any kind of participation, proposals, even strategies themselves for the potential interest-bearing solutions, similar to how Yearn Finance is having the engagement, are being run through holders of the Sunder token. There is a specific amount of revenue share that we initially set up of 10% at the protocol level. And this is eventually also to be decided upon by the governance itself if they want to eventually restructure this or participate on the eligibility liquidity provision, as I was mentioning earlier, which is incentivized through mining of the Sunder governance token itself, and quite a few other different approaches and utilities that we're looking at as we grow and integrate and move forward.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. We got a question here from Misty Dog Pony. Just wondering, was there a specific event or situation that led you to creating Sunder?
Frankly, it's been a recurring environment of experiences with different kinds of protocols and governance tokens and eventual own portfolio management, different kinds of like brainstorms and communication with other people across the industry. So there were many marking events and recurring situations where you could see that, to give you an example, on Compound, the average turnover rate over governance participation is about 14%, 1-4. And I mean, the first question that came up here, or concept that came up, is that there can be something that it cannot be that only 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 6 participants, 1 out of 7 is eventually engaging on governance. So what is the essential flaws in the model here? In some other protocols, you were seeing that quorum was sadly not being reached, and you had to eventually repeat the different governance proposals, and even with the own management of the governance positions yourself, that suddenly you can see that you may be interested in participating on a specific proposal. Oh, but this is actually going to cost me quite a little bit on transaction fees if I want to withdraw my governance tokens from, let's say, Aave or from Yearn Finance, etc. Is it worth it for me to have this sunk cost on eventually participating on this proposal? Or can I bear and just watch from the sidelines? And only if I see that it's not really going the direction that I wanted, that I should eventually participate. So a little bit on the prisoner's dilemma if you have the sunk cost fallacy here, but it's really a set event of different experiences across time in DeFi. There's been plenty of reasons that we're incentivizing us on eventually trying to come up with some solution for this.
Yeah, that's it's good to hear that you're seeing this over and over rather than just an isolated event that was like, hey, we should start this. You're seeing this regularly, and it makes sense. It totally does. So, very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
And to be completely frank, so this would be pretty much a first mover advantage. It's quite a creative approach that we're having from our side here. And it's easier said than done. There's all types of different kinds of governance modules that you're having. So the Governor Bravo from Compound side is one of the most direct approaches and is one of the first steps that we're taking for Compound implementation and all the Compound-like Governor Bravo governance modules for the different protocols across DeFi. But it's going to be quite an interesting approach as well, which is going to require collaboration from the community themselves if they're interested in participating for integrating all those different kinds of modules that you're having, all those different kinds of protocols that may be interesting to integrate. So the intent and purpose here, the target is to cement ourselves as one of the benchmarks in the industry towards this kind of solution if the market deems it to be interesting and attractive.
Yeah, all right. Very cool. Anyone else from the audience have any questions or anything? Please speak up. That would be awesome. And now's a great opportunity. And again, like I say, the AMA text questions, you can ask anything there as well. Okay. Yeah, Magnum or Long, do you guys have either anything else you wanted to share with this or any other breakdowns or any other things?
I think it was a pretty good introduction. If there's anything left open, I mean, we have our Discord. I can eventually share the link on the AMA text question side.
Yeah,
People
perfect.
could join anytime.
Yep, perfect. Share that.
And yeah, thrilled to make this happen. Looking forward to get a nice bowl of miso on Monday.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's cool that you're being a part of the token factory, and I'm excited to see more and more projects coming through with that. So yeah, thank you very much
from our side.
Pardon? Go ahead.
From our side also. From our side, also big appreciation towards all the support that we have received from the sushi side and community. This integration is going to be quite interesting from both sides.
Yeah, wonderful.
Not only what we are being able to obtain from an infrastructure perspective, but in terms of what we can provide for sushi as well. Not only on liquidity side, but eventually looking forward even for the sushi governance for implementation. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
It's going to be an interesting road.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a journey, and it's I'm really pleased to hear that it's been mutually beneficial on both sides, and been a pleasure to work with each of you. So that's great. So again, your website, if you want to give people that, and you can get to all of your socials from your website, I think.
Yep. So for the website, it's quite straightforward. So sunder.finance. I can share it.
Yeah, if you can share that in there as well. But sunder.finance
exactly
is where to find you guys. And yeah, you've posted the...
I'm going to drop the link over here.
Awesome.
And from there on, you can find access to Medium, Discord, Twitter.
Perfect.
There's some Telegram channel that is open as well. Everything available over there.
Yeah, awesome.
If you got curious out of the AMA, we have quite an englobing article that we published recently. So core-centric approach there was to eventually state the benefits more in depth about the collaboration between Sushi and Sunder. But it has quite an extensive prelude, value proposition, so you get the full picture in terms of what, why, and how we are doing it at Sunder. I would love to have you take part on on the journey and become part of the community eventually and help us make this happen.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. With that, I think if anybody else has any last questions or comments or anything, please speak up. Or yeah, I see Misty Dog Pony. Think you are definitely solving a problem in the space here. So that's wonderful.
Thank you for the kind words there.
Yeah, awesome. All right, I think that wraps it up here. With that, I just want to let everyone know that I've taken some screenshots here of everyone that's participated in this on this AMA. So I will be sending each and every one of you a POAP, a Proof of Attendance Protocol badge. You can learn about it on their website and whatnot. But just a little thank you, a badge that's attached to your crypto or your Ethereum and XDAI address. It's actually minted on XDAI. But just a thank you and a participation badge. So I'll also be posting this AMA on YouTube. So you can find that on the Sushi main channel, and I'll also be posting that on Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitter if you like as well, at 0xtangle, and keep posted on all the updates of the upcoming AMAs and some other sushi related things. So check it out there, and be sure to follow the Sushi Swap community in Discord, and join the Sunder one as well. So thank you all for joining.
Amazing.
It's been awesome, and we'll see you guys all next time, and good luck, Sunder, with everything. Thank you so much, Magnum and Long, for coming out.
Thank you so much for having us and for the hosting.
You betcha. All right.
See you all on Monday.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye.